あら
なんだそんな格好して。
それはランチさんの。
もう我慢できねえ。おらご飯さ助けに行くだ。
バカここでね、今言ったら殺されるべ。
構わねえ。おらご飯と一緒に死ぬ。
まだねえか。聞け。落ち着くな。
離せよ。離してけろ。おら行くだよ。
I think like many fans, I hated Chi-Chi when I was young. She was that overprotective, annoying mother that just ruined Gohan and made him soft. I remember lots of people saying these kind of things back in the day. As the years went on, I rewatched the series and reread the manga over and over, and I began to see her in a different light. Chi-Chi is actually a loving mother who wanted nothing but the best for her son. She just wanted him to grow up living a normal, safe life, something that all children deserve. So today I want to take a deep dive into the character Chi-Chi.
なあお前、ヒューマ王のおっちゃんの子供だろ。あれ、おめえおどうのこと知ってるだか。おっちゃんに頼まれたんだぞ。馬小船っていうやつを貸してもらいに行くのを手伝ってやってくれってよ。あんね、ほんとけ。
We first meet Chi-Chi when Goku and Bulma are initially searching for the Dragon Balls. She's revealed to be the daughter of Gyumao, or Ox King, the king of Fire Mountain, and former student of Roshi along with Goku's adopted grandfather Gohan. This little bit of information tells us a lot about her, that she kind of grew up wealthy, living in a castle. Her father kind of ruled over the land. We also learn that she can take care of herself, which kind of makes sense as her father was a martial artist. When she meets Goku, she kind of falls in love at first sight, even asking him if he'll agree to marry her, which he agrees to, not knowing what it means at the time.
なあ、ガク、もうちょっと大きくなったら嫁にもらいに来てくれな。何をくれるって？やだ、分かってるくせに。なんかようわからんけど、くれるもんならもらいに来るぞ。
So we don't see Chi-Chi again until the final arc in the original series, the Tenkaichi Budokai, where Goku fights Ma Jr., Piccolo Jr. However, in the anime, there is a small bit of filler. During the King Piccolo saga, she and her father are watching TV, the broadcast of King Piccolo, and she believes that Goku will be the one to save them, and even Goku stops by and helps them while King Piccolo had sent some people to take Yumao out because, he's a world-renowned martial artist. It's just filler. It's really, in my opinion, not necessary, because when we do get to the martial art tournament, it's better to think that she and Goku hadn't seen each other in several years, if you think about it. The beginning of the series, and then there's 3 years between each Tenkaichi Budokai. It's been several years since these two have seen each other, making it that much more amazing that she knows who he is immediately. She sees Goku and she's excited when she sees him. He has no idea who she is, which of course she gets very upset. By chance, these two are paired against each other and have to fight each other in the first round, and it's quite adorable. Goku senses that this is just a girl, so he doesn't want to go all out against her, but she surprises him by showing she's a decent martial artist, actually. And of course, Goku does easily beat her, but I do like it shows that, especially given her father being a martial artist, she didn't slack off during those several years. She continued to train and be a decent fighter in her own right. After the fight, she reminds Goku of his promise, and when Goku finally asks, "What does that mean to get married?" and they let him know, he's like, "Oh my God, that's what that means? I thought it was food or something." But so he's such a pure-hearted person. He's like, "Oh well, I promised. I guess, yeah, sure." That's kind of a sweet moment. From here, the rest of the story arc, she's right by his side at all times, cheering for him with his friends, part of the gang, and it's kind of nice. However, we get to Goku versus Piccolo. And this is kind of the first part of her trauma, I feel, which is why we have Chi-Chi who she is later on. This is the man she loves. She's watching him. They're going to be married, hopefully soon. and Piccolo is trying to murder him in front of her eyes. He's destroying the ring around them and, trying to like blow up everything. He's threatening to kill everybody. It's quite terrifying, to be honest. So you can kind of imagine, when she has her own child, that she doesn't want her child living that kind of life that her husband lived, where, he's fighting these dangerous people all the time. We kind of can understand her feelings just a little bit. I wanted to add something here. Another thing to really understand is that Chi-Chi came all this way and qualified for the Tenkaichi Budokai, something a lot of people completely overlook. During her fight with Goku, she tells him that she'll only reveal her name if he defeats her, and she even says it won't be that easy. Of course, Goku easily defeats her, but she was prepared to fight and try to win against Goku if necessary.
やっぱりだ。やっぱり悟空はあの女の子とお知り合いだったんだ。待ってたって。何を。
一体これは何事でしょうか。
約束も忘れちまった。約束？約束ってオラがおめと？
何のことかようわからんが、あの娘かなりの達人じゃぞ。しかも我が亀仙獣に似ておる。
亀仙獣に
So after the tournament, there is actually a small filler arc in the anime. I didn't mention it in my top 10 filler scenes video because this is not a scene. It's actually, a small little story arc. Chi-Chi and Goku are preparing to get married. Gyumao wants her to wear her mother's wedding dress, very common, but it's trapped in the fire, around the fire again in the castle, so they need that magical fan to put it out. Goku and Chi-Chi go on a small adventure to get the fan. It leads to them meeting Grandpa Gohan. I don't want to get completely derailed here, but I do love this because Grandpa Gohan, one great character. He got to see Goku in the Urdunai Baba story, and it was great that he saw Goku was growing up. But here to see that Goku has grown up into a man and a man who's about to get married just adds a lot more emotion to this. And Chi-Chi then also gets to meet Gohan, which in my opinion does help when they name their son together. It's not just on Goku's side, but that she was like, oh yeah, she knows who he is. So therefore, Goku wants to name their son after Grandpa Gohan, and she agrees to it. And I just think that just adds a little bit to it. So now it's 5 years later. Goku and Chi-Chi have a 4-year-old son named Gohan. This is where the talk of the overprotective mother begins. But I need to stop here and point something out. In the manga, Chi-Chi never even appears throughout this entire story arc. We do not see her in the beginning, like in the first episode of Dragon Ball Z. She's not in the manga at all. Not until when they go to see the aftermath of the Vegeta fight and Vegeta has left already. That is kind of scene for scene the same in the anime. She's running, pushing everybody out of the way and grabs Gohan. But there's nothing before that. Hell, there's nothing with Bulma and Kame-sen. None of them are shown watching the fight on TV or with Urdunai Baba's orb. That is all in the anime only. It actually is very more emotional at the moment because Bulma has no idea Yamcha's dead until she arrives at the actual site and finds out that he's dead, sees his body. It's a little bit more emotional, in my opinion. But same with Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi's completely left out of this story arc. So what I want to do is instead focus on the anime more, because that is the whole overprotective mother thing people always talk about. It's mostly from filler. It's actually not from canon. So let's go into it. Yeah, right in the get-go, we see that they're living a normal life, right? You have Goku's out, he's, collecting wood, Gohan's out playing, Goku gets Gohan, and then they go home to have, he says, let's go home and have, a meal with our family. And Raditz appears, Goku and Gohan go, and, the whole thing happens with Raditz. Goku dies. We then get some stuff where they tell Kuririn, they're like, hey, you gotta go tell Chi-Chi that her husband's dead and that her son's been taken away by Piccolo. And of course he's like, wait, what? What, me? And he's, it's quite funny. It never happens here, but it's still a great moment where he ends up not being able to do it because he just, of course Gyumel comes, Ox King, and he's just this massive thing, and Kuririn's just like, and it's just really funny. So of course Chi-Chi eventually does have to learn the truth. That her husband of only 5 years is dead, and her tiny little son is taken away by the green madman that tried to kill her husband 5 years ago. Try to imagine a mother to process this. It's just, a lot of people don't realize like what would be going through somebody's head if they're told this information.
どこだ？うちの中にいるだか？
実はね。
こしょこしょこしょこしょこしょこしょ。この大魔王に連れてかれたってか。
悟空はどうしたんだべか。
死んじゃった。
So, needless to say, she becomes insane. And that is why while Gohan is fighting, the Cyberman and, Nappa and Vegeta, and they're actually watching it on TV, and then the magical orb, Bulma's there, and, Kami-san is there, the whole gang's there watching it. But when Chi-Chi comes, and everybody's like, oh no, here she comes. Chi-Chi comes in and she's like, where's my Gohan? And she's losing it. It's hysterical. It's played for laughs, of course. But this woman hasn't seen her son in a year. She missed out on his, 5th birthday. She missed out on the whole year of his life. And now she sees, watching that he's fighting against these monsters and these aliens, and he's getting, slapped around, It's terrifying stuff for a mother to process.
ごはんちゃん、戦うんだ、ごはんちゃん。
何を言うだ父。ご飯が叶う相手じゃねえだぞ。ご飯逃げろ。
ごはんちゃん。
父。
So there's another scene here that I wanted to point out, and that's Chi-Chi cheering for Gohan to fight. All this talk about her, just caring about his studies and him, keeping him away from action. This is one of those short little moments here where I think we can see the other side of Chi-Chi, the fighter side of Chi-Chi. She sees her son in this terrible situation, and if that's the way it is, then she doesn't want her son just giving up. She wants to see her son actually defend himself. So I think she definitely deserves a lot of credit for this as well. Of course, we do get one of my favorite comedic moments from Chi-Chi is when she comes storming down the steps with a bunch of Lunch's guns. She has an entire arsenal of guns ready to go. And of course, her father saying, "You're gonna get killed. What are you doing?" She actually has a line here that doesn't make me laugh, and it actually makes me a little sad. And she says, "Well, then I'll die with Gohan." And it's like, damn, like that is what a mother would say. If she can't save her child and her child's going to die, then she wants to die with her child. It's like, that's a pretty powerful line that is not canon, but whoever wrote that line, seriously, I mean, that's a powerful line, and I just really, wow. So of course, after this, we get the rest of the fight happens, and then we get to what actually happens in the manga. They arrive at the site. She goes running, grabs Gohan. Oh my God! And she kind of ignores the fact her husband's on the ground in pain. That actually all happens. On the way, to the hospital, she forces him to study. This does not happen in the manga. Though when they do get to the hospital, she is shown in the hospital wanting Gohan to go back to his studies. That is canon. Like I said, it's just not as heavily played in the manga, but it is still there. The mother who wants her son to be a scholar, that is still there. We get the great moment where Gohan lashes out at Chi-Chi, where he says, "I want to go. Please take me. I want to go to planet Namek and I want to save Piccolo." That's all in the manga as well, and where Chi-Chi's like trying to argue with him, and then he yells, he gets angry, Gohan. That's all there. It's a great moment, and you got to really feel for Chi-Chi, in my opinion. Again, she has not seen her son in a year, and now he's demanding things, and she can't believe this is the same little boy that, even for fans of the series, like when you first meet Gohan, he gets scared of the animals and runs away. He's a little wussy boy, and like that's why they even like joke, I think, could it in Bulma, like, "Are you sure he's your kid?" Like he's a little kind of weak. And then to see Gohan has grown up already in this short amount of time, thanks to Piccolo, of course. But Chi-Chi's willing to let him go. So people don't give her the credit that she deserves, that all the overprotective stuff, yeah, but then she immediately turns around and says, "Okay, you can go." And she gives in to Gohan and lets him go to outer space. I mean, that's an incredible thing for a mother to do, to let their child just travel into outer space, especially in a show. If you realize this, space travel is never really talked about on Earth in Dragon Ball. It wasn't until Raditz came that space travel, topic even entered the series. In the original series, there is no space travel. So this was like a new thing. And for a mother just to be like, "Oh yeah, sure, go ahead." I do think she deserves a little more credit there.
すんません、ちょっと遅くなっちまっただよ。はあ、これが宇宙船だべか。大したもんだな。
じゃ、ごはんちゃん、本当に気ぃつけていくだぞ。どうしただ？降りてくるだよ。ちゃんと食後には歯磨くだぞ。うん。
お前本当にご飯かよ。どうしたんだよその頭。
お父さんにも笑われました。なんつっても人類が初めて行く宇宙だべ。失礼がねえようにな。
それは。
これは下着の替えと勉強道具一式。これは2ヶ月分の薬にビタミン剤、ドライヤー、ブラシ、お茶碗とお箸、それから
もう結構です。
早速行きましょうか。なんか力抜けちゃった。
頼んだぞ。絶対にドラゴンボールを見つけてくれ。
はい。
コロ。おじいちゃん、お母さん、亀仙人さんもカムさんも行ってきます。お元気で。ピッコロ。
飯はちゃんと食うだぞ。
毎日お手紙出したよ。
じゃな。
Now, during the Namek stuff, it is pretty much all filler. Chi-Chi does not appear, but again, we get some cool moments. She's getting worried that her son's gone. She's getting a little impatient, so they have scenes where she's like trying to go to outer space, and then she's threatening Breathe. She's like, "Build a spaceship, I want to go to outer space," and we get the really amazing moment where, she has the crew, it's like Yajirobe comes in, like the whole crew's getting together to go to outer space to save everybody. It's cute, it's funny. It is all played for laughs. It's not meant to be like, oh my God, Chi-Chi is not meant to play like that. But of course, everything works out. Everybody comes home except for Goku. And of course, we get there's some time goes by, before Goku and, Mecha Frieza and all that stuff happens, where Gohan's shown studying, living a normal life. And again, and Chi-Chi can relax a little.
ばっちゃんにナメック星のケーキをお土産に持って帰ってくるよ。頼んでちょうだいね。待ってろよ、ごはんちゃん。今すぐ助けに行ってやるだ。
マジかよ。本当にナメック星なんてとこに行くのか？
ヤムチャ様。
みんな覚悟は良いか。そろそろカウントダウンじゃ。
10、9、8、7、
ナメック星なんか行きたくないよ。
走れ。
いよいよじゃぞ。
おろしてちょ。おりゃまだ死にてはねえで。おろしてちょ。ねえ、おろしたって、おろしたってね。ねえ、おろして。
いやすまんすまん。失敗じゃ。
Once that story arc ends, though, we're shown a brief moment where Gohan's, like he's back home, he's studying, Chi-Chi's cooking, it's like a normal life a bit. They know Goku's alive somewhere in outer space doing something, and then Frieza arrives, and then Trunks arrives, and Goku comes back, of course. And for me, this is kind of like where the whole roller coaster of shit just keeps happening for Chi-Chi. This kid, every time she gets her kid back, something pulls him away. It just, there's no moment where she could just be like, he can just relax and grow up finally. So the androids are coming in 3 years. They gotta train. Goku has to convince Chi-Chi, let him train with us, please. And then he goes off to fight the androids, and she's worried again. So it basically just, it keeps happening. She gets her son back, he's taken away by, this stuff. She gets her son back, it just keeps happening. And you got to imagine, again, how hard this is for a mother. Anyone out there who's got a kid, it's hard. It's you don't want, especially if it's a child that young. People forget Gohan is really young, so it's, for a 5-6-year-old kid at this point, it's like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. So we do get then Cell games, right? So he gives them several days to just do whatever, train hard, get stronger. You only have several days before the Cell games. And of course, Goku decides to take it easy. He feels that he and Gohan have done all they could with their training, and they take it easy. These days are great. Now, it's not explored as heavily in the manga, of course, as it is in the anime, but it just seems that they get a peaceful life as a family. This would be the first time that all three of them get to be a family since the beginning of the Dragon Ball Z series, as, after Gohan was born. Since then, they've been kept apart. And that is just such an important, special moment that they get to be a family again. Of course, as we all know what happens, Goku dies. And then we have several years go by where Gohan and Chi-Chi grow up together with the new member of the family, Goten. And of course, this is in both the manga and the anime, you get the really interesting reveal that Chi-Chi's been training Goten while forcing Gohan to do his studies, which is kind of interesting. But she knows, in my opinion, the way I always looked at it is she knows Gohan at that point could take care of himself. Gohan, saved the world. Goten was this little boy with no father to raise him and nobody to maybe train him, if you will. So she took it upon herself to make this little boy get stronger. And I just think that, again, shows why she is a great mother. You know, that she realized, okay, I have this tiny little boy and he needs to defend himself. She trains him, and that's awesome. So, yeah, Gohan becomes a little bit of a bookworm and he slacks off from his training. I would never put that on Chi-Chi. Gohan always could have made more effort, and he didn't. It's something Piccolo points out in the Dragon Ball Super movie. Yeah, Gohan's busy with his job and all that stuff and family and everything, but Gohan never takes the time to do training. And I think that's on him, not so much his mother.
よし、行ってくっか。気ぃつけるだぞ、悟空さん。死なねえでけれ。おう、分かってるさ。
When news reaches that Goku will be visiting for 24 hours, she's ecstatic to finally have the family back together again. But there's a bit of irony in that Goku didn't want to be revived several years ago because he felt that he brings chaos with him. And well, yeah, so when Goku comes back, of course, shit hits the fan again. Then Gohan's off to fight again, and to make matters worse, Goten and Trunks fly off to join the fight. This poor woman just keeps going through more and more stress in her life. Sadly for her, things get a little bit serious here. So the next time we see her is on Kami's lookout, and she learns Gohan is dead because no one at this point knows he had actually survived. So this to me is one of the most heartbreaking scenes because ever since this insanity began with Piccolo taking Gohan away and Goku dying, all the way, in the beginning of the Dragon Ball Z story, she had tried so hard to keep this kid safe, to make sure that he didn't die. And every time he came close to dying, she would lose her mind because that's her little baby boy. So when she finally hears the news that after all these years of him not dying and being safe, and then her efforts to try to protect him failed. And I can't imagine what that would feel like. It's got to be one of the worst feelings for any parent. And to make matters worse, of course, Goku's time's almost up. Goten and Trunks with fusion, and then he has to leave. So now this woman not only has to say goodbye to her husband forever, because he's at this point not supposed to be able to come back, but her oldest son is gone. And she's devastated knowing that all the hope in the world now relies on her only son, Goten, who may die against Buu if he fails. This is such a weight that she has to carry. And I think, again, this is why I really want you all to rethink about the character a little bit more, of like the amount of shit she goes through. You can't blame her for being a little overprotective sometimes.
ここはどこだ？
詳しいことは後で説明すっから。それより悟空さんがあの世に消えちまうだ。
悟空
おい
せっかくじゃったのにゆっくりできんかったの。
さよなら、孫くん。
悟空、元気でなっていうのも変だが元気でな。あ、
悟空さん！
おいちょっと。
悟空さん、オラはどうすりゃいいだ。ご飯もいなくなっちまったし。
父、そう落ち込むな。おめえにはゴテンがいるじゃねえか。
でも、もし魔人ブーに殺されちまったら。
心配すんな。今やってる技が完成すりゃ絶対負けやしねえ。あの世でご飯にあったらよろしく言っといてやるさ。
Now, when everything finally ends, the Buu saga ends, they're a family once again. Goku gets to come back. Gohan was all right the whole time. Everybody's back together. It makes the ending of the Buu saga and of the manga, if you will, that much more satisfying. That all the shit she goes through, finally they're just a happy family. And to me, that's just a beautiful way to finally bring it all together.
ずいぶん留守にしちまってすまなかったな、みんな。おら、大海王様の命もらって生きてったんだ。
それじゃあ、また一緒に暮らせるだか？ご飯と御殿と家族4人で。
あ、早くパオズ山に蹴って父の手料理が食いてえぞ。
So now I hope you all enjoyed this deep dive. I really am digging this. I like taking a look at these lesser characters in the series, but I do plan on doing some of the major characters. The next one I'm doing is going to be one of the more major characters in the series as well. If you guys have any requests for characters that you want to hear me talk about more, anything top 10 related, anything like that, just please drop it below. Let me know what you want to see me talk about. Anyway, guys, thank you.